It's beginning to sound like the New Mexico Secretary of State's office should begin writing another classified help wanted ad. They've been without a manager of their computer system for some time now, and in fact, they've gone through a number of these professionals in recent years. We've heard earlier that the most recent problems with the Secretary of State's website had been fixed. Now we're hearing the opposite. The campaign finance reporting part of the system seems to be down. That's according to state lawmakers who've been looking at the problem. State Representative Brian Egolf from Santa Fe is among them and joins us. What have you learned about this issue?
Well, it sounds like there's been a problem with management and oversight of the development of the system for quite a while. The process started with the previous Secretary of State. Money has been appropriated each year in varying amounts at the request of the Secretary of State's office to upgrade the system. And as you can see, when you log on to the system, nothing really has changed. And of the $172,000 that remains, we heard yesterday that they said they've only spent a few $1,000s of that. And so it's very discouraging, the lack of progress. The Secretary of State's office, however, committed yesterday that by the time we get into the next legislative session, they committed that they will have a hard plan on how to get the system changed in time for the next election. So
now, this
we finally have a goal line set here.
To clarify, this is the financial reporting part of the website, is it?
That's right. So that's the part of the website that all of our constituents and voters look at to see who's contributing money to which candidate and how the candidate is spending that money. So this is a very core part of the Secretary of State's job.
They contend that they don't have a manager for that operation, that job?
Well, right. There's not an IT director right now. So we've got, I think, if my memory serves, we've gone through 3 or 4 IT directors in the last 5 years, and currently the process is being overseen by the Deputy Secretary of State and the Director of Elections, who are both very nice folks, but they're not IT professionals. And so we need to have the right personnel in place to oversee this upgrade.
Should we put the word out, do you think? Call for people to call up and ask for the job?
Well, yes, I hope that they will do that. There's clearly been a lack of movement at the Secretary of State's office. With the recent system outages and with the recent, even by the Secretary of State standard, failing of the system, I think finally, I hope finally, that their attention is focused and that we will start to see some real progress. I'm encouraged that the Secretary of State's office is looking at obtaining a campaign finance reporting system from another state instead of trying to build our own from scratch. I think that's a positive step in the right direction. And so we'll just have to see how far they can get by the time the next legislature starts.
In the meantime, we're learning that there's a lot of concern about the state's paper ballot tabulator system, that they may be thinking about finding a new way to lease machines and dump this current system.
Well, the current system that we have for voting machines is a complete, I think, outrage. We didn't really, it looks like the state rushed into the paper ballot system, and the contracts that the state negotiated with vendors are they're outrageous. And, for example, we've spent about $32 million to purchase voting machines, and now they want to charge us an additional $600,000 every year to maintain them. And on top of that, they want to charge money for our state workers to learn how to use and maintain them at rates that are astronomical. And the contracts include provisions that say the vendor, the seller of the machines, determines at their own discretion when the machines can be fixed. So basically, we've got a sole source, or rather, we've got all our eggs in one basket. You've got the same company selling the machines, selling us a contract to maintain them, and selling us the services to learn how to use them. And we're getting taken to the cleaners on each of the contracts. So we got a commitment yesterday that these contracts are going to be renegotiated and looked at, because right now it's a disaster.
These machines seem to operate fairly well. Is there a system that would be just as good?
Well, I think that what we need to do is get out from under these outrageous maintenance and training contracts. Our Denise Lamb, our county elections director here in Santa Fe County, said that the contract for training wanted to charge the county of Santa Fe over $100,000 to train our 5 elections workers. So it's $20,000 per training session that goes for a few days. And they base the charge for these training sessions based on the number of machines that you have, not on the number of people being trained. So that is completely ridiculous as a way to charge these fees. This is all being looked at, and I told the Secretary of State's office yesterday in the hearing that they've basically got until January to look into this and to come back with real answers. Otherwise, we're going to have to really get serious about getting more involved in the Secretary of State's office. That is for sure.
Is it conceivable when it comes to voting machines to dump tens of millions of invested dollars and go for something else?
Well, they've got, I believe it's $14 million worth of voting machines that are sitting idle in a warehouse in Rio Rancho. The issue, though, is that the state and or the counties of New Mexico own the machines, but we don't own the firmware and we don't own the software. And so we're now required by these terrible contracts to go to the vendor of the machines and ask their permission to sell the machines. Otherwise, we would sell machines without software and they'd be useless. No one would buy them. So the state is really hamstrung by these contracts that were entered into back in 2005 and 6. So trying to get out from under these is job one, because until we do, there's not going to be a lot of progress on this issue.
State Representative Brian Egolf, many thanks for being with us on At Noon.